Those mother effing feelings. They're so necessary though. But they are a pisser. It's like, when you have a heart. Pause. I'm sorry. My name is Flo, and welcome to an episode of Crown Talk TV, where I just be talking because I'm always having something to say. But anyways, my feelings, those mother effing feelings. They're so necessary though, but they are a pisser, aren't they? But yet they are also the ahs, the oohs, and all the good stuff too. But for whatever reason, when we feel those pissers, or when we really get into our feelings, them can be a mother effer. For real. So good at effing that you know that you're creating everything you are allowing yourself to feel, see, and experience to a certain degree. Like, when you're a person that have whatever the proper terminology is, who gives a F, just listen to what I'm saying. When you're a person that has a heart, you have to learn how to not necessarily control your emotions, but allowing yourself to be okay with processing and acknowledging that you have feelings, right? Because there are going to be moments where everything is cool, copacetic, you happy, you're whatever it may be. And then there will be moments when you may be sad, or you might be angry, or you might be frustrated, or you might be whatever the energy is, or the emotion is. Energy, whatever the energy is, you have to know that when you are allowing yourself to operate from that space, you are allowing yourself to create from that space based off of the thoughts you are allowing yourself to receive, right? And when you're thinking certain things, you can either get lost in the overthought of things, and or get quick to, you're quick to react, and you may not even respond at all. It's all about how you choose the decision and the action you take after each thought. So you either, like I said, thinking over and over to the point where you're not even allowing certain things to be created, let alone processed, because you're not even taking accountability for what it is that you're feeling. Maybe it might be a tough feeling. We all have tough feelings, but the tough feelings is how we essentially shift out of certain things when you are allowing yourself to be able to be one with the emotion. That's part of the creation. That's the beauty of the emotion, even though it sucks and we don't be liking the bad stuff. And I'm not going to say emotions suck, but because emotions are so big, and depending on different experiences you go through, you view your emotions differently or compared to another person when they're feeling whatever they're feeling, because not everything that we feel is going to be exactly the same. The same things that's going to make you feel something is not going to be the same thing that may make me feel something. So we can't instantly and all the time make it seem like it's just the person, and or kind of shut it down, or find different ways to escape from it, and yada yada yada, whatever it is that we do to avoid the voids of different emotions, right? So when certain things are triggered with me, like I said, my feelings got hurt, but it wasn't necessarily that they got hurt because something purposely did it. It was just a trigger to how I allow myself to process and believe and or have a certain principle to certain things. Everybody's principles and morals are completely different. It's not going to be exactly the same because we didn't have the same experiences, so we cannot expect everybody to understand, overstand what it is that we're feeling and going through or what we experience, especially if you never taught them or told them or whatever it is. And especially if they aren't doing things that are purposely trying to or intentionally trying to hurt your emotions or trigger you. You have to get, like, a lot of things are very intentional. Some people know what they're doing when they're doing what they do, how they do what they do. But then again, when you're having basic conversations or basic whatever, and you choose to be triggered, it's all about you and how you choose to respond to whatever the trigger is. Are you going to take that time to sit and process what it is and why you even got triggered? 9 times out of 10, most people are not going to even be thinking like that, because most people have not even been taught how to operate in the emotional body. But yeah, those mother effing feelings be a mother effer, but they be so necessary to help us get to the next points and the next goals and next places of things, when you allow yourself to actually process the emotion so that you're able to make the proper thoughts and make certain decisions that are necessary to the emotion that you are feeling. You know, it's not always the right time to respond. It's not always the right time to react. It's not always the right time to, necessarily have the right decision at the moment. Sometimes it's okay for you to process and really pay attention to how you feel and really think about it. Because certain triggers really be deep down in the core. And most people do not even know why they be getting triggered in the first place. But yeah, that came from just being sad a little bit. A lot of it. No, it was really a little bit, honestly, but it definitely was a big emotion, because I typically don't even, I'm just now learning how to fully really grasp the understanding of what it is to feel, so certain triggers have been triggering, but the way I've been responding and moving through those things, I thought that. But when it came to that hurting my feelings in a sad way, that one is a little different, because I don't like feeling sad. Who does? It's a real icky emotion. But that sadness taught me so much about myself with that one trigger. Deeper than what I even thought that I would, I had already processed. It's further showed me certain things that I still need to tweak within myself. So I'm not upset at it. It's like, you know what? Thank you, mother effer. I needed that. But, I didn't like the way that made me feel. But whatever. So it's like, I'm very grateful for all my emotions, and now I am good. Before it was like, why the fuck are you crying? Crying who? Sad who? Mad who? I don't give a fuck. Everything was straight, I don't give a fuck. But the more you keep telling yourself you don't give a fuck about certain things, is when life shows you why you really do, or how you do, by certain triggers that are purposely initiated, so that we are able to wake up in our heart spaces, so that we are able to pay attention to what it is that we're really thinking about. Because 9 times out of 10, most thoughts that people fucking think are programmable thoughts to a certain degree, a big part of the degree, and then the other half, because most of the thoughts are programmed and encrypted into your mind to think a certain way, and they want you to think a certain way. When your emotional body is being triggered, you don't even know what to pay attention to, because your mind has not been properly programmed or encrypted with certain information that'll be necessary for you to know how to process your emotions and what it is that you're feeling. This is why we have to know why we are feeling it. Why certain things bother us the way that it do, or why certain things even make us happy, or why certain things give us a sense of peace. We have to know all those little itty gritty parts of ourselves, because if you don't, everything that's on the outside of you is controlling you, because you're allowing yourself to be attached to whatever the void is, instead of feeling your void yourself and actually sitting with it, and not even literally feeling the void and not feeling the void. So allowing yourself to actually get lost in what that void is. A lot of people are afraid of the darkness, which I get, because everybody be having their own stories. We got everybody living in their own video game, on their own level, on their own time. We're all in our own worlds, just coexisting in one big ass world amongst 1,000 other worlds. A whole bunch of little sperms in a big ass egg, if you ask me. But what anyway? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. Most people don't even know how to properly operate in their emotional bodies, because they never have been able, or let alone taken the time to get to be in that stillness to be like, oh yeah, today I'm blah blah blah, today da da da, today da da da. Well, that made me blah blah blah. We don't got time everybody doing this and doing that, da 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 da, racing, just running, constantly going and going and going and going and going and going. So when certain things do trigger you, you take it personal in a way to where you're not elevating, but you're constantly allowing yourself to descend, and you're not ascending to nowhere, honestly. But yeah, those emotions be in motion, okay? Because it's always flowing, just as much as the brain. So if your emotions are constantly flowing, your brain, again, is receiving information from the energy that you're having in motion. So when you are feeling, you have to know that in a sense you are time traveling. You are I'm not going to say escaping, but you're ascending to new levels or new places every time you allow yourself to make a decision on certain emotions. Instead of, how can I say, because it does grow. I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself when I say this, because you're not supposed to think with your feelings. You're supposed to think with your fucking brain. But your emotions does trigger thoughts. It triggers your brain to think a certain way, or to receive a thought based off of what it is that you're feeling and how you choose to react or respond to the emotion that is being triggered. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you're thinking, or when you're receiving thoughts, because like I just said previously, a lot of the thoughts that people have are kind of like, one side of your brain is fucking programmable and just filled with random ass information that you keep feeding back to yourself as muscle memory, because you think that's what you're supposed to remember, so you keep circulating the same information over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Then you have your other brain, where it's like the feminine, even though the brain is technically masculine energy, but the right side is connected to the damn feminine energy, when you're allowing yourself to be creative, the intuition and the music and the crafts, and when everything that's authentic and not something that you have to be taught. That's the authentic mind. Most people are not used or capable in knowing how to use the authentic mind, because we never were given the time to do so. They take it away from you. They tell you to go to school, go to work to get money, have a million kids if you decide, and also be married if you want to, God forbid. I'm not going to say God forbid like it's a bad thing, but because the way that this program is ran, all of those things are taking away from you, so that you never have that time to sit still with self and really actually process what it is that you're experiencing and going through. So instead of you taking that time to process, you're just reacting and responding and making decisions based on the emotions that you are feeling, that are putting you in certain timelines and places that are a product of essentially your creation, and how you're allowing yourself to believe and perceive the world around you. I know this probably was an earful, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't want to keep talking right now. I think I said enough. So allow that to sink in. And then if you really enjoyed this, just come back and I'll see what I'll be talking about next time. I'm quite sure it's going to be something very interesting. And yeah, when I be talking, half of the times because I'm allowing myself to process what I'm going through, I'm able to receive certain information, which will also, clearly it has to help the next person. Because if it's going to help me, I'm quite sure the information that I'm receiving and allowing myself to think, because I'm really just thinking out loud, talking to the fucking camera, that's all I'm doing. So it's like I'm learning just as much as I'm teaching to everyone else, if that's what it seems like. But that's just how I allow myself to process my emotions, because before, like I said, it wasn't a super emotional thing with me. It was more so, oh, well, it is what it is. Fuck it. Who gives a fuck? Oh, that's life. But it's like, when you, again, life is going to teach you ways, and more ways than one, on how to feel, because your feelings are there. And they're your best friend. And you receive a lot of information if you just take the time to sit with it. And just feel them like, You don't have to become the emotion, because when you're becoming the emotion, that's the energy you're constantly creating from. Every time you make a decision, like I said, you're timeline hopping. So if you're not making no decisions, guess what? You're stuck in that fucking loop, or whatever that timeline is of whatever the label is. It's called timeline hopping. We fucking timeline hopping, traveling dimensions, all that stuff are right here, right now, every day, everywhere, all at once. all the time. But for real, I'm out.